All right, so week 2 in CIT15. I wanted to start on this page because I know I've mentioned it, but it's worth mentioning a couple times, is that the calendar is really helpful in Canvas. And what I like about it is it shows the days we're off, which happens to be for us coming up on Monday, right? So we just start the semester and we get a day off. And I'm going to do this here is you can switch classes, or you can change the classes that are viewed, or you can have multiple classes so that you can see where your class due dates and other things overlap. So for our class, we are ending the first week, and as I had said when I released week 1 attendance, I do the same thing each week. And I look forward, meaning I look ahead to the work that's ahead of you and give you any heads up. But today I want to give you a special heads up on some work that you're going to have heading at you. Just to be clear, right? So here we are, week 1, and you have a hands-on experience for Tuesday because Monday we're on campus holiday. And then you have another classwork, and then you have a hands-on experience with screens here, okay? So at the end of week 2, really right here is when our first My IT Lab assignments come, okay? So this is just a heads up. You can, if you haven't already, you definitely want to purchase this material before this date. And there is a hard deadline for you to purchase it, which is February 1st, okay? So, and this is not something I control, it's something that's decided by the whole department, is that students have to purchase it by here or they're not allowed to. So make sure you get that done. There is a trial version. Now, again, I'm giving you a little bit of a, head forward about this, but I just want to say that, okay? So, and as we move forward towards the My IT Lab work, okay, the quiz is, in that case, taking a quiz under the textbook. And I'll probably end up talking about My IT Lab again next week because it's just, getting your feet settled in this class and making sure you know where everything is. But one of the things in preparation as we move forward here is that if you use Chrome, as I do all the time, and I highly recommend, if you're using a plugin for Chrome called Grammarly, you're going to want to, especially when you're in the My IT Lab, is make this disabled, because this is a known issue with the My IT Lab. So let me just show you, because I think it's just also good to know. And these are called browser extensions. So if I come over here to the little hamburger, and we call this the 3 dots are a hamburger. I know, like 2 buns and a whatever. So, and then you go down to more tools and you go to extensions. What you will see is all the extensions you have for your browser. And what I realized today is I need to get rid of some. But I'm going to scroll down and you will see I have Grammarly, but I have it disabled. And I could remove it, but I keep it around just so I can show students what it looks like. And like I said, when you're doing My IT Lab, make sure you get rid of that, okay? Okay, so back at our calendar, and let me actually go back. I could actually go here to go to courses a little quicker, but into our course. As we ended our first due date last night, I sent out a message to give everybody the heads up. And just know that this is, this first due date, I understand, and I am more understanding about students just trying to get their feet wet. And I heard from a couple of people today after I sent out a message again this morning about, are you still interested? But I get how this first week is you just settling into the class, okay? But I just want you to know from here on out, we have 2 due dates a week, this, but on the night that things are due, if you're emailing me and saying, hey, could you check if it's there? It's not the best idea, because I've really said, and let's just clarifying here, if you want me to review work before the due date, submit it at least 24 hours before that's due. And that's just like, because I have a life too. I know, might be a surprise, but I have a life too. And I have what's called digital downtime. So there are actually a part of my day, and it's mostly in the evening, that I completely shut technology off and don't check in until the following morning, because I'm more of a morning person than I am an evening person. Okay, so just FYI about that. So into week 2, like I said, we have now, by the way, by the time, depending on when you've seen this, you also have your first hands-on. And this is, between you and everyone in the class. So and I've said this again, this is a repeat, classwork is only between you and I, and this is between you and everyone. So, and I think this one is hopefully fun. It is, there are some definite skill sets that you acquire in doing this work. You may have already, but you acquire in doing this work. And making sure you've walked through this correctly. I did end up adding this video afterwards because I realized I just needed to cover the shared with everyone, a new folder I want you to create, right? And there's good examples here of what you need to do. And here's what I mean by that. You have some of your fellow students that have already posted work. That's great. So you can see what those look like, which is awesome. So setting up so there's really, once we get through these 2 folders, which we will do after this assignment, then everything else we will use either the shared with everyone or the shared with Rio. Okay. So let me go back. So hopefully that should be no, and if, by the way, if there is, here's the other thing. I said this last night, and I'm really happy to report, by the way, here's my list of things I make sure I talk about, is that, and I'm going to go to our, as you could see here, I'm involved with a lot of Hangouts. So Hangouts my life. Okay, it's not my life, but still. And in this case, there's 68 of you on chat. And here's what I want to say, because I appreciate that your focus is important too. So if some of us get into a discussion that's an ongoing and you're getting these notifications, I want you to know that you can turn notifications off and come back later and browse through, or if you happen to leave them on or setting in Gmail. I appreciate you helping everyone else, but I also don't want to distract. So I want you to know this, is if you go, now this is assuming you're on the desktop version, but you could do this also on your phone if you're using it on your phone, as I do both desktop and phone, but you can take notifications off, right? So here's the other thing, is if you do come in here and take notifications off, don't change anything else, because I've had students in the past accidentally change things, and this is really the only thing. You can also take off conversation history if you want, that's really up to you. But I just want you to know, if you want to not get a notification whenever anybody is in there, then please know that option is there for you. Okay, now the reason I brought that up was really talking about the work and if you run into any issues. I'm sparse on weekend support just because, again, I have a life, and happens to be on this weekend I have events this weekend. So, of course, if there's an emergency I need to deal with, something was broken in Canvas, those kinds of things take my priority. So I just want you to kind of understand and get used to the way the class works as far as availability. And so again, this is when we're finished with our week 1 and into week 2, this is at the end of week 2 that you see are my IT lab items. Okay, so I think hopefully this is enough to get you that start and give you what you need to do. And try to answer some of the questions that I see coming at me. But, that's also a great place that I will post in the chat when I see multiple people have a common questions. And yes, I do grade every morning. This, of course, being Friday, I graded already this morning. And because on Friday is my also review of where students are at in a larger perspective, you may get emails from me, specifically the first 3 or 4 weeks. That's the most important time, just to make sure students are on track, and if they need extra help and you're reaching out. The other thing I did is I released the late work, and I will have a tutorial schedule up probably the first of next week. Okay, so I hope you enjoy your day off. Happy Martin Luther King Day, and enjoy what hopefully will be a beautiful weekend in Central California. Talk to you later.